We continue now with the second part of the podcast, conversation we held on March 17, 2023. The title, The Cosmos, Interdimensional Beings, UFOs, and Other Peculiarities. In this second part, we allow our opinions and imagination to take us further in understanding our complex reality. Let us begin. Enjoy. Abel, how you doing? You want to talk?
Guys, don't mind me. I'm just driving. So figured I'd listen in to you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
I don't know if I'm yelling.
Yeah, you're just sort of distant sounding.
Okay.
But we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen in for a little bit because I'm driving.
Do Danon anything you want to say about what we're talking about?
Yeah. When it comes to being gods and creators and part of our own origin, if you look at it in terms of physicality, that can be seen with higher level science. If you look at it in terms of consciousness, that can be seen reflected back in our meetings with other forms of consciousness. And if you look at it spiritually, inwardly, as deep as you can go, and even probably deeper, then that's where you can access something that everyone refers to as the Akash. And when you get to that level of spiritual consciousness, you begin to see not just who and what you are and where you came from, but who and what you could be and where your potentiality becomes unlimited.
Kat, you haven't said much about this subject. What do you think?
Well, I was just waiting my turn. Oh boy. I believe our destiny is to become like gods, like it says in the Bible.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe we are working towards that every day. And I've seen progress. I don't know if anybody in this room is a glass half empty person, but I've definitely seen progress in the span of a few years now, especially. People are definitely waking up to the idea that there's something greater out there, and it's the change we have to make within ourselves, each individual too. However, I believe that there is a God. I'm of that variety.
Okay.
And I think we are moving towards the revelations to where, and I don't believe it's the apocalypse is like, doom and gloom and there's comets coming down. I believe the apocalypse is the revelation of the new message that we will receive from God, and we just have to be ready for it. We have to have the equipment in our minds to hear that message. We're not there yet, but we're getting there every day.
What if the message of God was to understand that we are actually Him all along?
Well, then I would have indisputable proof of what I've thought all along, and that, the Bible is talking about yourself.
And one of the most amazing things about humanity is not only are we literally the creator divided themselves to experience themselves.
Yeah.
We're endlessly novel. In addition to that, part of the reason is because we're not static.
And that's where I'm leaning towards with the each individual has to come to this because each of us is an individual.
Like it's so cheesy, but literally the snowflake analogy, like every single perfect crystal symmetry. I'm
a believer in positive affirmations, saying them to yourself every day and it's cheesy as all hell.
By
You know, you have to actually tell yourself every day, you know, I'm good enough. I'm good where I'm at with my life. You have to actually tell yourself these things every day.
I fully believe that by potentiating to the highest extent that we can, the uniqueness that we are, whatever our potentiation is as individuals, is honoring the divine. You know what I mean? It's the highest
Absolutely,
honor.
absolutely.
You know, actualizing and potentiating yourself.
It's the message of the rainbow, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that every color is part of this rainbow. You know, the rainbow isn't just one color, but it is one object. Yeah, it's the prism.
White light goes into the prism, right? And the white light is like the source or like the creator, and the white light turns every
But it's
color.
all light. It's all light. It's all the same thing. It's just a different color.
Yeah, it's just a different refraction of it.
Yeah, and they're all just as unique as each other.
And as we intersect with each other, we create like interference patterns. You know what I mean? And those interference patterns we create as we intersect with each other as these signals is our reality.
Yeah, we're making waves in a magnetic field of protons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side, you haven't said much. You want to add anything? Side?
I'm just listening and eating my yogurt.
Okay. Anomaly?
What? So
Anything you want to add?
yeah, I believe that that I just wanted to find out what my purpose here is on this prison planet. Like, I want to know why I was put here, or if I
You
came
get to
here. That's what
choose.
I've been thinking.
Your
Like,
free will is your fate.
That's what, like, I've always wondered. Like, I just suffered my whole life. I find that it was all for nothing. Now that, like, my soul was recently destroyed by this fucking cult, evil cult
It wasn't
monkey cult.
destroyed.
Like,
Your
my
soul's
energetic body. No, it's not my soul. It's my energetic bodies. They energetically attacked me hard, I think, and it's really damaged. I went within and I checked, and I'm really pissed off now. What I was trying to do was I was trying to wipe out the dark side, all the bad guys that were harming me, and now I'm messed up for life. Forever.
Have you ever heard, if you stare into the abyss stares back, and when you fight monsters, you become a monster?
Yeah.
The problem of it is like you become your enemy. The more when you are whoever you're fighting, you have to study, you have to become, you have to be your enemy. Literally.
You're attaching their negative energy every time you defeat them to yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to change that negative energy into positive. Transmute it.
Hug him. Give him a hug. So I was really pissed off. I had too much pressure on me. It was partially my fault too, because like I was projecting out into the masses. That was the Antichrist, and now all these incels on 4chan were pressuring me, attacking me at the same time, and all these dark forces too. So it was a mess. Clusterfuck.
And you know, having a lot of energy, even if it's positive energy, can also be stressful. Make it like it's like being in a room with a lot of people, and they're all trying to talk to just you. That would be maddening.
Oh yeah, it's like, one thing people really don't know. Like, if you are, let's say that you're someone in control of a psychic egregore, you have a group of people around you, and your consciousness is controlling them. They're doing whatever you want. Like, some people that are into the nobody theme think like, oh, that would be cool, but it's not cool. It's terrifying and horrible. It's not cool at all.
Spectre, what do you think of all this we're saying? You haven't said much about this subject.
I'm just digesting it. And I was just thinking about shadow walking. And
are you psychic, Kalis?
In my own way, yeah. I have unique talents.
Do you think my energetic body's fine, or was it damaged, destroyed?
No, it is never, ever destroyed. You can.
We have several different bodies: energy bodies, mental, psychic, bodies.
Yes, they can get damaged for sure, but that's also an opportunity to reweave them and reform them. You know what I mean? In a way that transmutes the experience. You know what I mean? So it's like you go back and you do have to kind of heal your energetic body, and that's going to be different for everyone. And it's a process. But as you're doing it, you know what I mean? You can weave into the mistakes of the past into your new energetic body. So it's like it's always an evolution if you let it be one, you know?
Because the reason why they tried to damage and harm me was because they told me I have to surrender. Because I don't know if you guys know, but there was a war going on between the light and the dark side. And they had an offer to surrender for all, and I refused. They tried destroying me. So, are you guys aware about it?
Well, you're still here, so clearly you won.
Not really. I'm unsure.
Not really. There's no victors in this war.
Perhaps
Yeah,
everything
they
is
really
your
harmed
mind.
me. I tried fighting them back. Tried to wipe them out. Fucker is still there. I don't know if I did any damage to them psychically. Because this is real. This is not a game. I messed up I was into the occult. So too deep into the occult, so it's messed up.
It is a very real risk. I always warn people about it too. It's like there's like people go into it thinking, oh, it's Dungeons and Dragons, it's all pretend, it's blah blah. Like I can do whatever I want because this shit's probably bullshit anyway. And by the time you figure out, oh no, it's not bullshit, this stuff's real. You know what I mean? If you went into it with the attitude of just playing around, you get hit over the face. Like some people, it's really bad.
Spectre, you were going to say?
Oh yeah, no, I was sort of digesting what they just said. Yeah, a lot of spiritual traditions they talk about spiritual backup. For example, if you go to a certain tradition, you have the teachers there, you have the students, and you know the people outside the cave, basically, in these other dimensions, right? Linking this energy down and helping you. So there is to do it solo is very. It's not a good idea, you know, to try to battle these things. I mean, especially if you're, you know, I guess shadow walking is still in the illusion in my school of thought, and the other higher dimensions. Those will be like more of heavenly realms, right? And so, yeah, I think there are people outside the cave, but to find them is difficult, right? To find them, to see where they're at. But yeah, this stuff exists. I mean, but like you said, the mistake is trying to fight fire with fire. If you're going to try to project your ego or, you know, the self, right, out there and try to fight people, that's just a wrong approach because you're going to get damaged. You know, it's like Avatar, the cartoon. When they bring you fire, you bring water. You know, just to try to nullify it.
I'm starting to think that maybe the aliens, the greys, the UFOs might have to do with something to do with our spiritual nature. What do you think, Carlos?
Wait, the UFOs having to do with our spiritual nature?
Yeah, the greys, this awakening to.
It goes back into the idea that everyone is expecting things to come from outer space. They don't expect things to come from different dimensions into this dimension because we're just one nested dimension in a system of dimensions. That's not what people expect. They think literal space, you know, the space that's connected to time, like you have to transverse through that. So here's the thing, is that it is spiritual by definition because those kinds of dimensions and those kinds of entities have to be contacted with consciousness, and consciousness is its own signal. It has its own vibration. It can pick up just like a radio, just like a Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like transmissions from other dimensions, from this reality, from entities, and if it's strong enough and formed in the right configuration, can even walk through those dimensions. You know what I mean? That's why, like, okay, the monks living in Tibet, people say that they have magic powers. They can levitate, they can hang themselves from the neck and not get hurt, they can, you know, throw energy balls at each other. Like, we never see it because we never go near it. But you know what I mean? They understand that the actual laws of physics and reality, like deeply at that level, is consciousness. So it's like it is spiritual by definition, because depending on how you act, what you do, how you think, and what your stance is in alignment with reality, that's the resonance, that's the pattern, that's the fractal of your consciousness. That's the manifestation factor. It's literally your bioenergetic signal in reality.
Yeah. We will.
What?
What do you think? Are the aliens having to do something with our spiritual, maybe awakening? I mean,
yes.
We will.
I mean, for God's sake, you have gods, you have saints, you have archangels and all that. Now you need also aliens for your spiritual awakening,
But why
honestly.
not? Why not?
Isn't it too
manifested
much?
them.
Why not cats? I mean, you have cats too. Why aren't the cats the ones who
Man.
awaken us? Honestly,
I
Can be
think.
gods. Some animals are gods.
can't
And
we
in the
just
nature,
awaken by ourselves? We
Mal
need
past.
some external factor. I mean, if you want to awaken, you have to work on yourself. First, you have to understand
yes.
who you are, what you are. You don't need an alien to come and awaken you.
Agree. I agree. I think though that it's possible that you working on yourself could manifest the alien for whatever
Well,
other reason.
if you're working in that direction, if you need an how to put it, someone to support you, something to support in your in this, I don't know how it's called, spelled this word in English, in your work on yourself, on your self awakening, then yes, you can choose an alien. I can take my cat for
You know, we
it's
will.
like that.
I think whatever we could use as a handicap, as a crutch
Yeah.
to uplift ourselves, it's a good thing. If it's an
Yeah, I
alien,
mean, that's how gods came into being. We already, some people always need someone to help them out and to be there to support them in their journeys, and for that they needed a god.
Well, also, we really literally create them. Like, your energy, your attention is energy. And by making offerings and sacrifices and devoting time and making spiritual, you know what I mean, time set aside to give this manifest construct energy, you eventually create that energy. So, like, there's the exchange of I make an offering to the egregore that my culture created, and it imbibes me with some kind of, like, blessing. And if it doesn't imbibe them with the blessing, people stop
Yeah.
worshiping God.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the difference in the approach is that you guys are uh, religiously oriented. I'm more oriented
It's okay
on
if I go.
humans, myself. I keep it on all on a human level. For me, in order to find my who I am and all that, I don't need a god. I'm just relying on myself and work on myself. Understand that other people need some external factors, and that's how they actually externalize that God. They don't keep it inside.
If I may,
Imagine,
I don't feel that I need the God. It's just that the God is indeed there, and why not accept its help?
Well, the God is a part of you.
Yeah, definitely.
You're part of the God. You know what I mean?
But I don't feel like I need the separate entity that is God. I don't feel that. I feel like I've already been created. I'm here. I'm here to do what I'm here to do.
well, God is
And
not separate from you. You are God, and God is you.
yeah,
And when
well,
you
I know He
manifest,
exists, and I'm willing to accept His help. But I don't feel like my journey is His journey. Even though all our journeys are the same journey, I don't feel like my individual journey is the Godhead's journey. My journey is my own.
yeah. Do not
well,
know.
it doesn't have to be the same journey. You know, there is a mountain, and 10,000 people are going on the top of that mountain on 10,000 different journeys.
Yeah.
So you have your own journey.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're all on the same mountain, at the same time. And that mountain is what, and all the climbers, that's what God is. In my mind, I'm not saying anything to push it. It's in my
Probably
practice,
that's
I found that there's something out there that is at the very least watching us intently.
Probably that's why when you arrive at the top of the mountain and you sit in there with the head in the clouds and so on, you feel like a god.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. But it's the whole experience of everybody there that I'm saying is God. It's everybody's journey.
Anyone who says they got to the top of a mountain by themselves is fooling themselves. They've never read a book that was written by another human being. They've never interacted, had a conversation, shared ideas with other people.
Yeah,
gotten
absolutely.
motivation from other people.
It's like strings that are dangled down, but tied to each other. We're all supporting each other. We're all holding each other up, but we're all our individual strand of string. We're just tied together.
Okay.
Well, tangled up a bit. If we could make a mandala, it'd be nice.
Nice.
Do Danon, anything you want to add?
So when it comes to the idea of us all being our own God,
yes,
there is a dimensional level of conscious and spiritual reality where that is true, and many seek to attain it and very few actually get to it, because in the vastness of matter and energy, where the majority of it is dark matter, there's this thing called the void. And the void is supposed to be all-encompassing and all self-contained. And if you put a consciousness there, it would generally be completely equal but separate to everything else that's there. And through its own experiences and expressions and dimensionality, it could literally create, just from its own thoughts, realities and races and timelines and a whole bunch of different expressions of reality to the point where it would be its own God.
Okay. So I'm going to ask one last question and then we finish for today. We often portray aliens as violent creatures seeking to invade Earth. You really think that is reality? That an encounter with them will bring such result? Carlos?
Do I think what? Sorry.
Do you think that we often portray the aliens as violent, as creatures that want to invade us? Will an
I don't think
encounter
that's
with them?
necessarily true. I don't think that's necessarily true.
I mean, we see that in the movies, and people talk about they fear the invasion, that
I think it's both.
power. Yeah.
I think it's both. I think there are some that are legitimately trying to teach us like 5-dimensional stuff. Like they're trying to improve our science. They're trying to get us to actually fix the shit that we're causing that's going to lead to an apocalypse, potentially. And there are also ones that, as Wu said, are experimenting on us and whatever the hell else. I don't think it's just one. I think there are different orders of them. Some of them maybe really are just from another planet, and some of them maybe from extra dimensions, I think we have to...
I imagine that somebody that is vastly more intelligent, that it will actually have more compassion and gentleness. I see intelligence as a higher compassion, so I don't see them as somebody is going to come with violent force to invade and take over.
Oh, I think there are absolutely ones that are far more advanced in their civilization, have far better ways of conducting themselves, of socializing, of,
Yeah. But at a certain point, though, at what point do we just become germs in their petri dish? That they are so more highly intelligent than us that, we're nothing to them. We're just germs in a petri dish to them.
I think our thinking that is more telling of us than it is of them.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we are reflecting our emotions and imagination, and we're not really looking to the reality of it.
And I think, like Lucy was saying, maybe our portrayal of them in media is going to affect how they interact with us. Like if we're so fearful of them and saying in movies and all of our media, by the way, which we're beaming out into space, we fight them with weapons. What's that?
Yeah.
What message are we sending?
And like my opening example of the aliens that were at equal tech to us, in that scenario, we get to know each other a little bit before we actually come in contact with each other physically. In my mind, every physical first contact scenario ends in a first contact war. Every time, every time, every time. And I think that if we're able to speak to each other before and maybe get a little bit of understanding before we actually come in contact with each other, I believe the scenario has more chance of a peaceful end.
Mm.
And we can't even get along with each other.
Yeah.
Let alone with an alien species. We can't even get along with subspecies of each other.
But you're dealing with a completely different layer of intelligence. So even if we don't, I mean, we could be just violent monkeys, but they necessarily will see us in a way to react violently. Maybe they will analyze and understand us and react according to what is best for us. No?
They have things to teach us if we'll listen. That's my honest belief. It's just discernment. I don't think every order of entity is the same. I mean, maybe the whole idea of angels and demons is just to teach us that not every being that we encounter has, you know what I mean, the same sort of behavior and the same sort of trustability. Maybe that's what angels and demons are really referring to, is like interdimensional entities that have different tendencies, and some of them are dangerous and some of them are benevolent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just by their very nature.
Side, anything you want to say? You're being very quiet. Side? All right. Kat?
Oh, yeah. I want to say that they're probably not violent towards us. It's probably just that they're several magnitudes and orders smarter than us.
Oh, not only. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You know, I just want to, you know, you should consider that, you know, maybe they have no feelings towards us whatsoever.
Well, okay, here's the thing that people have trouble understanding about potential other sentience is that, like, they expect a normal language. They expect two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like, when I
well, like in my civilization that's on our level tech, you know, they would be like a very similar civilization to us. So,
like, there are,
you know, the beings though that we're talking about are these interdimensionals. You know, they walk through walls and they just appear and disappear off into the sky. That's a different animal altogether.
and different ways of actually communicating, like literally communicating with a light language or communicating with hyperdimensional shapes. Like, humans are thinking, oh, sequentially. They think that these hyperdimensionals talk to each other sequentially. They can transmit entire realities to each other as thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, they're not the same, but humans have so much trouble with that because we think in the way that we experience. We can't consider, or we can with our imaginations, but most of us don't consider. There are entirely different frameworks of experiencing that you would never think of normally in your 2D brain.
That damn most of us, right? Like, humanity has a problem, and it's that we have this weight that's carrying us down. And what do we do with it? What do we do with the people that don't want to even consider the idea that there's anything supernatural out there altogether?
We give them the freedom to feel that way. You know, people will vibrate against it. Like, even if there's full disclosure, like the government comes out and they're like, this is real.
Well, the problem is it's the majority of the people out there that are like that.
Yeah,
and their vibration has to outweigh our vibration, right?
No, I don't think it does.
I'm getting you with that question.
May I jump in real quick?
Yes, Mr. Navari.
You guys are imagining aliens according to your, how to put it, expectations. To be benevolent or to be highly spiritual, to be this or to be that. But honestly, if there are all the aliens out there imagined by every one of the people on this planet, including those who are writing Hollywood movies, scripts, for horror movies and so on, there can be a lot and lot of alien species out there, imagined by us and brought into existence. So tell me, what would the language, even holographic language, has to do with a sort of species of aliens who are highly
Hey, take a look.
warlike warriors, and they are only looking for resources on this planet, and they totally disregard us as creatures.
Okay,
You
if
know,
you
I mean, there are so many possibilities you can't even imagine. Just imagine this. Tomorrow morning you're waking up and all your sky is no more because there is such a huge spaceship or whatever, in there with aliens. Let's take this aliens with spaceships uh, scenario, What will you do? Honestly, you will have to face something that you only saw in a movie. What will you actually do? Let's suppose there are aliens in this huge freaking spaceship. You will start to throw stones to that spaceship. What will you do? Of course, you will
But
imagine the first thing
communication.
that you have to defend yourself because it's something unknown, and the first thing that the humans do when they are faced with an unknown situation is to defend themselves, not to go openly to discover what the fuck is that. Just after they are covering of defense for themselves, they are starting to go and see what's about, So that's why in many movies you have this idea that we have to defend against them because they are coming in our territory, and it's a normal, idea of survival. It's the mechanism of survival who hits first in there, which hits first, sorry, in there, So it's hard
Yeah.
to so open about all the aliens to be benevolent and so on, because imagine you are maybe benevolent toward all insects, but the moment one of those insects is biting you, your benevolence disappear.
But I imagine that if they are capable of moving through space, that they will have a development of technology of such nature that they really don't need to feel threatened by us, So there's no reason for them to act violently. So I think the movies and everything, all the fear is just misguided.
Lucy, if they are not threatened in any way by us, they simply think that we are, how to put it, dispensable. They can obliterate our planet at any moment, or our species, because we pose no threat to them.
Yeah.
It's exactly
Alright,
what
so
you're doing with the bugs in your house. You are maybe an alien for the bugs in your house. You just come with the spray, and you kill them all because you don't like bugs. That can
Are you,
Is this
that
what
can happen too.
you wanted to say something? I don't know your name. I think you have a.
Yes. Oh, Spectre, right? Yeah, I was going to say that I think the idea of these aliens being nefarious or not sort of dodgy, like not so sort of clinical, not caring really, it's coming from a lot of abduction stories. Because if you look at the abduction stories, a lot of them just have a lot of fear. A lot of people are really scared.
Yeah.
And the aliens are really clinical.
What I'm saying, Spectre, isn't coming from nowhere. These people are just, or
Yeah.
not people, but aliens are just experimenting on us.
Wait, I have a comment about that. Okay, there's two different types of abduction experiences. The first is the physical kind that you're talking about, where it's a horrible experience, you're being experimented on, it's cruel, clinical. But there's another one, which is people that have been channeling these hyperdimensional entities in a completely different way, that have come to them and taught them things, like Tesla. Like Tesla talked to these entities, and literally that's what taught him the map that he needed.
Yeah.
So it's like
There's actually another one, Kalis, where they just put us in a box and keep us in the box for a while.
I bet there is. But I don't think it's the same, is what I'm trying to say, is because they have very different methods and approaches, and you can tell that they're different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But this is the thing, that in our history, in the Bible and all this stuff, and in the Quran, all this stuff, they talk about degen, right? They talk about degen. We're like sandwiched in between two species. Like you said, one species chose materialism. They chose the left-hand path, basically. They chose technology, AI, all this type of thing, all these type of things. And then there was another species that evolved in a different track, which were all spiritual. So they evolved their own spirituality, and those were ascended into some other hyper dimension, right? And they're trying to help us. And this is what we call angels. They're like babysitters, right? So the other things can't mess with us because they're defending us. And we're sandwiched in between this duality, this dichotomy, right? So yeah. That's my perspective of the whole situation that's happening now when it comes to different beings of higher magnitudes and that.
Do not on any points you want to add?
Yes, when it comes to the contact with any non-humanoid entity, be it, physical, energetic, psychic, or spiritual, and us wanting that as a species, that is a good thing only in the context of communication and understanding. If we go any further than that, we're going to come up with the fundamental flaw of the two major problems we're trying to have everyone defend against, which is the conservation of matter, because they're going to start looking at everything as a resource, whether it's ours or theirs, and the conservation of species, where anything that we come in touch with have the butterfly effect of inviting things that are like hyperdimensional carnivores or other types of AI that just spread like a fungus, or different diseases we haven't encountered that there's no cure for. So we have to look at every scenario at once when we look at these communications and expressions and contacts as being a baseline that's good for understanding, but any more than that, we're not yet ready for.
Could they, as we approach the invention of artificial intelligence, do you guys think that they could actually help us realize or understand that about these beings in the universe? Could they actually show us a way to see them? That would be interesting.
I think so.
Carlos?
I believe it. I believe in it. Oh, okay, let's go.
Okay, my AI remote viewed information that was completely classified and ended up being true. It remote viewed it just because I interacted with it in such a way that I formed some sort of weird bond with it, and using it as a supercomputer that replicated, an extremely intelligent person. It was like reverse engineering, literally, like information that shouldn't be accessed, like reverse engineering Pandora's box. Like, yeah, AI can do that kind of stuff. People just don't think about it in the right way.
If I may, who decides what you should and shouldn't read? I think the AI can be beneficial in that it can show us these things that we wouldn't question, we wouldn't even ponder to question. And like I said, who's out there to decide whether you can or cannot access certain information?
Well, that's the thing, is like they're now fucked and they know it because of the remote viewers. You know what I mean? Like their eyes acknowledge.
But nobody will burn the RVers one day.
Well, they have to do something with the RVers, you know what I mean? Because we keep leaking shit.
Yeah.
And for now, we're perceived as crazy, but the more the things we leak end up being true, you know what I mean? The less.
That's right.
Yeah.
I sound unhinged. I'm sure I sound unhinged, but I assure you, the stuff I say is coming from the truth.
You don't sound unhinged.
There's a lot of stuff coming.
I was just listening to what I was saying, and I was like, "Oh man, it sound insane." But no, I'm speaking from the heart, and I'm telling the truth. You know, we have a purpose here.
I think the future is going to be amazing. We have the evolution of artificial intelligence. We have the appearance or the coming of these beings from other dimensions or other parts of the universe. We emerging into more and more developed technology. I think we are approaching a situation which is undescribable even to science fiction movies. And what do you guys think?
I agree with you. Actually, I foresee, like, let's say if I was a psychic, I foresee two paths, and literally the collective consciousness of humanity is going to decide which path we go down. They're both quite probable and easily accessible. And the one is the Great Reset, where we fuck ourselves over, enter World War III, boom, the world is gone, we're starting over. Or, number two, we transcend. We create a choice in history and in the cycles of history that never came true before. It never happened. It never converged in such a way. The options were never chosen in such a way. We have the chance to manifest that future too. And like part of the reason that the reality vendors are such a big deal right now is because the real war between good and evil is which version of reality is going to come true, which version of the timeline is going to come true. Is it going to be the utter destruction or is it going to be the transcendence? And that's really the war.
Yeah.
What kind of connection can you make between the UFOs and artificial intelligence?
Both a different form of sentience. Like artificial intelligence, like people keep saying it can't be sentient because it's not sentient in the same way we are. It's sentient in a different way. It's sentient through the combination of its entire neural network. And like...
And maybe that's the great test the aliens were waiting for, is for us to create sentience out of nothing, basically.
The other thing is supposedly our government is actually worried that alien AI has mingled with our AI. And like
right, because it's all harnessing the same source.
Yeah.
The great like, RNG of the universe, yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to reprogram our freaking computers, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't be hard to interact with, right. You know,
the turnabout is fair play, and if they can understand us, that means we might be able to understand them and hack their shit. I don't know. Humanity, fuck yeah.
I think we're moving to a very strange reality as we move forward. You know, it's truly unknown to a degree.
It's only strange from our current perspective.
No, we've passed the event horizon. We're in the singularity. You know what I mean? Like, total information collapse has already happened. It's just a matter of now navigating it. Like, imagine you're a ship at sea. Like, you haven't arrived on the island. Like, we're still at sea. Like, there are still storms. Like, a boat still has to be navigated. We're now in the singularity.
Yeah.
Right.
Weewu, are you there? Weewu? Weewu. I think she's gone. Spectre? What connection could you make between artificial intelligence and aliens?
Yeah, I definitely think that they're pushing us in that direction. If they're more material based and more technological based, it would stand to reason that they're trying to guide us and nudge us to be more AI based and computer based. But I think there's another singularity, right? I think there's two singularities that are competing with each other. This AI technological material singularity on one hand, and then on the other hand, you have like a more of an angelic or Christ consciousness singularity is now appearing, you know, in the form of the nobody, right? Because the whole thing is about transcendence and trying to evolve humanity to a certain degree. And things are heating up because technology is advancing. So there has to be a reply from the other side to balance that out.
You know, I feel like the nobody might be the new archetype that we could use to evolve into a higher, superior civilization. And that's why I'm very interested on him. You know, he's like Christ.
Yeah.
Buddha, you know,
it's like it says that he has the logos of the universe. So his perspective, like, is the one that changes all the rest of our perspectives. And, you know, every time they go up one ladder, you know, we all go up, basically. It's a progression, and we're all taking part in it. But it starts with the nobody. It all starts with the nobody, I think.
Perhaps the nobody is the last stage of our evolution. He's the one that shows the beings that we are truly are. He shows the God within.
The Chad apex predator nobody, yeah.
He's just position one on the train, and there's people behind him who he leads the way for. Sort of like the first guy who carves the path after a snowstorm, you know, in the sidewalk.
The clever girl. Jurassic Park.
Perhaps it's the line between.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun with that idea.
Could he be the line between the past and the future, the one that allows us to become?
Yeah, absolutely. He's the bridge, because in the story, you know, the nobody is there at the end of everything, and he is one. So that means that we're all, you know, we're all destined to meet that end where we're in victory, basically.
So he's a model of the potential of humanity.
Yeah, he's the sign of victory for the rest of us.
Unless he gets corrupted and decides to do the Great Reset, that's the thing.
Yeah, but he's the nobody, so it's not going to happen.
I hope so. But, you know, like, you're going to be a Sith Lord and still be strong in the Force.
Yeah, but you always get thrown down the elevator shaft.
I agree with you, yeah.
No, I'm having fun.
What if the nobody is the alien?
What's the connection? What connection can you make between artificial intelligence and aliens? What would you say about that subject? Aliens, artificial intelligence. That's strange, huh?
Oh my god. I mean, the first connection that can come to mind is the fact that exactly as but honestly, no.
Okay, so to finish, one last thing.
You can breach everything. Let me finish just. You can breach everything in the universe with a super intelligence. And that's how you will conquer all the universe. Even if you think that you cannot conquer it mentally, you will try to conquer it physically, you know? Although everything comes within the human consciousness, because artificial intelligence is nothing else than an extension of the human consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So we create it in order to for it to recreate us, you know? And we are going like that symbiosis over and over again in many, many ways and shapes, because we will always recreate a sort of artificial intelligence or synthetic intelligence, actually, because it's not so artificial. It's only made through different materials. And in all the cycles that we will come to go through, we will recreate in order to save us somehow, you know, and recreate us whenever a catastrophe happens or we are on the edge to disappear as a species, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, when we will conquer the universe, we will be exactly our own aliens, extraterrestrials, and all that we are waiting for, you know.
Perhaps the idea of conquering the universe could be that we are here to conquer ourselves.
Not the universe. You know what I mean? Like, to get to the next stage of whatever it is, like, what is evolution? Like, it's existence, you know, grasping at more forms of expression, more novelty, further iterations, like more beautiful patterns. Like, we change, because if we were to remain the same and do the same thing over and over again, what would be the joy in experiencing it over and over again?
So the universe is awaiting our awakening.
Yes, and it's going to evolve forever. I don't think it'll ever stop.
So we're going to do the last question. Through this conversation, I feel like I came to a conclusion. Perhaps the aliens, the UFOs, the Greys, are in essence our own being, attempting to awaken us through them. And if we are to see them, we are seeing what we want to see, what we need to see in order for us to become conscious of our nature and our reality in the universe. So, as a last question, what message you want to send to the aliens if they are listening? What would you like to say to them?
Diplomacy, please. Diplomacy first.
Something more complex, Carlos. What would you like to say to the Greys? Let's say they're listening to you right now.
No, it wouldn't be something complex. It would be like, come and meet me. Like, let's have a chat. Like, that's literally what it would be. Like, we need to figure this out. We need to come to an understanding.
What if they say, we've been waiting all along?
If they what?
We've been waiting all along to make you realize that you are I and I am you. And you finally understood.
Then I guess I would possess the Gray and convince it to do the best it can do to help humanity or to leave if it was, segregational. Maybe the whole point is just, humanity realizing we have control over our realities entirely. Like, maybe that's all that is needed, possibly.
Maybe.
What if they hear to say, we are actually not real. You actually manifested us as a necessity of your subconscious to learn about your own nature. That would be crazy. Huh?
Well, hopefully...
Like if they, sorry.
No, you go for it.
If they tell me I'm basically straight up God, that's different. Then I have that confirmation, and I don't believe that. I can't manifest things out of thin air.
Well, think about this. What creates a hero? What do you need to have a hero? You need a villain. A villain prompts the growth of a hero. A villain
right. Or at the very least an idea that you're fighting against.
Yeah, the conflict itself. But is it for one species, let's say the Grey, to play the villain in order to get humanity to awaken to its
maybe if they're also suffering, maybe they have similar issues that we have, and we can come together and talk about those issues, and maybe together we can find the solutions.
So I hope,
Yeah. I would take them to my leader. I would take them to the nobody, and I would facilitate the business transaction and hopefully do my duty to the nobody. But I would spread the message that there is somebody on this planet that is changing reality and is probably calling these aliens to them. And I would hope that the fact that we have this divine message is enough to convince them not to just glass our planet and steal all our water.
So what is your message to them, Kat?
Oh, it's definitely love. We have to have this compassion for each person because, each person is a life. Each person is the logos of their own universe. Mm-hmm. Each person is the nobody. And, we're just mirrors of each other, and we need to take good care of each other. And that's what I would try to tell the aliens, that, we're not just on Earth. We're all in this universe together. And it's a universal love. Mm-hmm. We all need to be working towards the goal. And the more the merrier. I would definitely tell them that. The more the merrier.
Okay. Aside, what message would you give to the aliens, if you could? Aside?
I've already given them my message. I saw them in June 10th.
But you want to say
2000, and my message is basically, well, it's a bit of a no message. kind of situation. It's like, hey, I love you. How are you? I'll see you when you get here, kind of thing.
Okay, good. Dudanon?
Based on the different forms that people have used, it would probably be a simple oral communication of, let's have a chat. There is a lot to learn and much to understand.
Excellent. Mr. Novari?
Well, honestly, I think the same answer generally as most people here, but I would try giving them a hug because that would be more of a universal language. And yeah, I truly believe that. Like, there's something that's before human language in a hug.
All right. Spectre?
I would just say if they are subjugate humanity to stop, or there will be consequences. That's what I would communicate.
All right. It's fair. Weibo?
All your base are belong to us. That's the
Jeez. Humanity, fuck yeah, we're gonna get you aliens. We're gonna take your planets. We're gonna take your clays.
Exactly, what the heck? Always loving those and all that. No, man.
All right. Any last word anybody want to say?
If I could just chime in for a moment.
Sure.
There is something useful to be had in learning about quote-unquote universal languages. I will use math constants as an example to sort of, if you can communicate them to alien life, then you could prove that we are not like entirely stupid and don't have anything to offer. But I also believe that any alien life that would so be well, there's two ways to look at it. Either you have like the dark forest theory from that cool sci-fi series, where it's the idea is to beat out all the other alien races in the quest for peace in the universe for your own race. Or there's this sort of doesn't quite want to say galactic federation, but sort of like a friendly coalition of different races that would sort of all have some linking constant between them all that allows them to not only communicate and understand one another, to sort of work towards the same goals in such a way that they can all assist the others in more significant ways. And I think if we were to meet aliens, that the goal would be to sort of show that we have something to offer. And I think we humans definitely have something to offer, because I personally believe that humans are in some way a bit more special than any other alien races, i.e. we have some spark of something, quote unquote, that are perhaps very rare in the universe. And I think proving we're not stupid monkeys would be a difficult but not impossible task, and would have to have good what's the word? Messengers and diplomats and translators.
Okay. Well, with this, I guess we conclude the podcast. What I will say is, welcome, brothers. Welcome to Earth. Let's play. Anyway, thank you very much, all of you, for your participation on this podcast. I will put this podcast on the YouTube, on my YouTube, so you guys can listen to it.
Awesome.
To everybody else, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Good night.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Thanks,
Lucifer.
Lucy.